Hey guys, it's me, Andrew again. Yeah, I literally started recording this like a minute after my other video. Yeah, like I said before, that other video got kind of long. I went ahead and cut it down, trimmed it, so it's nice and neat. This one's my second video, approximately a minute from then. Um, some things have changed, some things do change. Um, it reminds me of the linguistics concept of Aktionsart. It's a German word. Um, it's referencing infinitesimal moments. You'd be surprised at how often funny words like that come up in my head. But it is an interesting way of developing your perceptions about things, your perspectives, your heuristics, um, and about approaching certain things in life. Everyone has their own internal algorithms that they use to navigate life, as it were, especially the mental landscapes that we have. And that's just something I like to reference. Just can you do something in an instant? um, but yeah, back to my main point of what I wanted to do in this video. I wanted to elaborate more on my history with music, my career in the industry, um, and I'll keep it short and sweet. So I've been playing guitar for a long time, man. Since I was like a toddler. I'm 35 right now, so I've got over 3 decades of experience. Because man, when I was little, I could play that guitar really freaking good. Um, so I'm actually rehearsing one of the first songs that I played back when I was a kid. One of the first songs that I played when I was a toddler was Jolene by Dolly Parton. And it was interesting back then because it was back in the early '90s, early to mid '90s. Um, and I think Jolene came out in the '70s, right? I'm not sure about that, but I think it came out sometime in the '70s. I'll reference that at some point, or I'll double check. Um, and what happened was I noted the fact that it was like it had been 20 years since the song came out, so it's been like 50 years since the song came out now, but it had been 20 years since the song came out, so the song was retro. It takes about 20 years for a song to get retro, give or take. Um, so that's going to be interesting. So all of you music artists who had songs come out around, say, 2005, look forward to your songs becoming retro. It's a very fun feeling. Um, of course, I got started making music when I was very young, so I know what it's like to have a song or an album that you've worked on be 20 years old. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Um, I had worked on a couple. I had worked on a couple albums before then when I was real little, but the first album that I really worked on in production was it was a set of albums, but the first one that's like my pride and joy that I really enjoyed working on was Deloused in the Comatorium by the Mars Volta. Um, that was, like I said, that was fun. And if you listen to it, I did actually contribute to a lot of the instrumentation, a lot of the guitar, a lot of the lyrics, a lot of things like that. And if you know Mars Volta lyrics, they're yeah, there are always some sort of cipher or anagram, some secret message or code for something. Um, and if you kind of look at this, if you kind of look at Deloused and the Comatorium's lyrics, it's like, yes, these are very intelligent lyrics, but it's quite apparent that a 12-year-old wrote them. It's there's one song we call the Amoeba song. It's singing about amoebas. Of course, it's an album about Omar and Cedric's friend who he committed suicide, or he attempted suicide. Then he was hospitalized in a coma for a while. Then he woke up. Then he successfully attempted suicide later on. That's the theme of the album, and I had to write about stuff like that. So I'm not trying to dishonor his memory, of course, by laughing and chuckling about it. But at this point, they sent him off well enough. It was a good requiem, um, and it's just kind of funny to notice the parts where it's quite obvious that a 12-year-old contributed to the production of that album. Um, but yeah, moreover to my point, I've been working in the music industry, producing, songwriting, um, even getting into the music videos, directing music videos, producing music videos, um, working on choreography, um, things like that. Um, and do sometimes even doing hair and makeup, man. Like I guess in middle school I learned how to braid hair. I guess so. So every once in a while I jump on as a hairstylist. Like I used to do. I used to do cosmetology in high school. I had a cosmetology certificate many years ago, back when I was in school. So I used to just do hair. Sometimes you have hidden skills you didn't even know you had, and that was one of mine. I used to I can fix people's hair up. And if you look at my hair right now, I've obviously come a long way from that. I don't care. I don't care as much. um, but it is fun to jump. It is fun to jump back into that every now and then. Um, and a lot of it has to do with notions of manliness. Like, oh, do I have to be like, pretty all the time, or can I just be me? So, and of course, that's changing. Gen Z is a lot more fluid, with their gender norms, their gender identity, um, and the notion of androgyny, a whole lot of things like that. I think that's kind of why that was why I was interested in doing more traditionally feminine things like hair, makeup, not on myself, not not on myself. I mean, that's if you do that, that's a fine choice. I don't want to put it out there and be like, hey, that's unacceptable, or sound transphobic or anything. um, that's not my thing. But as far as researching things, looking at certain disciplines that were traditionally considered, not for men or not for women, at least do research. I like to be a scholar at heart. Um, so that's what I mean. And my name's Andrew, of course. I love the concept of androgyny, things like that. I think that's why it appealed to me a whole lot. So anyway, enough of that digression. Um, yeah, so like I said, I've worked in the music industry for a long, long time. I know everybody in the music industry, um, from the newer artists to the artists who've been performing since the '90s. Like, anybody you see in the news or in the headlines, I've personally met that person. I've personally spoken with that person. I've probably seen that person be embarrassed and humiliated and mocked in the cruelest way you could imagine. That's how well I know some of these people. And the thing about the music industry is that some people will acknowledge you, some people won't. A lot of it's about money, a lot of it's about ego. Like I said, the music industry is full of people with talent, but the music industry is also full of people who have little to no talent, or some talent, but not moral virtues. So people will come in and they'll work with you and they'll give you money up front, to produce an album for them or write a song for them, and then they'll just steal credit for it. Um, and that's happened to me a lot. Like, some promising artist will come in and say, hey, we want to work with you, or some big producer from a company says, hey, we want to work with you, and they'll work with me, and I'll get that payment. I'll get that payment up front. I'll spend it on myself. I'll reinvest it or whatever. And then when the song comes out, I don't exist. They don't know who I am. You look up the song, you look up the album, who produced it,